All right, what's up, everybody? I am sitting down with the one and only Sue Woodard. Uh, Guys, if you don't know who Sue Woodard is, it's because you're probably brand new to the mortgage business. And what I would tell you is go to ChatGPT or whatever AI device you are thinking of and go, describe Sue Woodard and put a
Oh,
company name like Stratmore Group uh, or Ingenious, where she's spending a lot of her time now, or one of America's best mortgage professionals, and then you'll know who Sue Woodard is.
my
Uh,
gosh. I'm blushing, but
yeah.
it's so good to be here with you, Dave. I always love even when we're passing by each other fast at a conference, it's always a good time to see you. And thank you for all of you, everything you do for this industry.
Well, thank you for everything you do for the industry. So, Kristen Messerly and I are currently getting ready to put out a halftime report, state of the industry halftime report.
Yeah.
And so I want you to think of it like you're a coach and it's a sporting event, like mortgages is sporting. And there's, a first half, and now we have a little break, and we have the second half. And so we got a little 15-minute break. What are some things to call out? Like, hey, this is a signal, this year. And then what are some of the things like coming into the second half if we want to win the year? Whether you're talking to a C-suite executive or you're talking to a in the trenches local loan officer, what you got, coach?
Yeah. Yeah. I'll tell you, I think the thing that's been most on my mind lately, probably unsurprisingly, is some things around AI, but very specifically, the AI bots that are positioned to and are successfully talking to consumers inbound and outbound. And so I want to tell you a little bit of my thoughts on it, but it's funny when I read something the other day, Dave, that was talking about how, the AI avatars, like there's these things now where you can actually, like you and I could get a service where, we talk to it for a little while and then it's just an avatar that looks like us on video and we upload anything we want it to say. It's pretty wild, right? And I read this article talking about how teenagers these days are starting to develop like AI avatar or bot friendships, right? Which I'm like, no, don't do that. Put it down, go outside, don't make friends with the AI avatars. That should not be your social connection. I actually also, and I'm not recommending it, Dave, but I don't know if you've heard of the movie Companion.
I'm not familiar with it now.
Okay, I saw it on Delta because I'd literally watched everything else there was to watch, but it's basically about having an AI robot powered um, girlfriend or boyfriend. And, so things are going a little bit crazy out there, but I know it's been a huge buzz around the mortgage industry talking about, AI and all the different parts of the process. And you and I both know we've been around this industry a long time. And people have been talking about technology, versus the loan officer and all these things. And you and I are both huge advocates for the human connection in this equation, but powered by technology, right? Like supported by technology, including AI. So I think the thing that I'm just going to mention that I've seen recently, and I've really got my eye on looking forward, and I would tell you either as a loan officer or a leader, I think is really important. The most impressive usage of AI that I've seen thus far is these AI agents, we'll call them, who are able to take inbound calls and make outbound calls. And I have heard the recordings, and they are out of this world. They're out of this world. You have no idea that you are talking to an agent, or an AI powered piece of technology. And they're so good, in fact, that in the test case that I've seen, three of the AI agents, the bots, got asked out on dates. Like,
Wow.
that's how good it is, where people are saying, hey, it's been really good talking to you. What are you doing later? That's how good they are, right? And so it's extremely impressive. And I assume it's only going to get more impressive. The conversion rates are off the hook. And you start to think about, there's no management issues. There's, in fact, in one of the recordings, Dave, that I was listening to, one of the customers that are potential customers was a prospect for a mortgage that the AI agent was talking to. The customer kept saying, well, listen, young lady, and I don't know, young lady. And I thought, there's a loan officer out there that would probably eventually get a little offended by that. Like, stop calling me young lady. Like, you don't know anything about me. It's a little demeaning. But the AI agent had no problem with it, kept just plowing forward, you know.
Mhm.
I've heard them overcome objections that probably would have stopped me. I was a decent loan officer back in the day, but I've heard them overcome objections and just keep going. And all of a sudden they're taking the application. They're able to work 24/7. There are no sick days. And so I'll pause for a breath, but Dave, I'll tell you, it's something I've got my eye on right now.
Yeah, well, AI is something that everybody should have their eye on right now and really be developing skills around it. My LinkedIn post today, when we're actually recording this, was the illiterate of 2025 are not those who can't read and write, but those who cannot unlearn old workflows and learn to use AI.
Yes.
And of course, I said, and Mortgage Coach, and
Yes.
then relearn best practices as they rapidly change. And so, I mean, to your point, best practices are rapidly changing.
Yep.
You need to know how to talk to AI. We're actually rolling out nationally to all of Mortgage Coach members on July 15th our AI total cost analysis. Did I show it to you?
Ah, yeah. No, I haven't seen it yet. Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
so literally the total cost analysis comes up. There's a little AI assistant built into it, and you can either talk to it, like, which is the best option if I'm going to live in the home for 5 years? Boom, there's a great answer. Uh, what does APR mean? Great answer. Uh,
Amazing.
which one has the lowest cash to close? And then as the consumer is interacting with the mortgage coach, they're getting a transcript. So it's like a whole new dimension of
Yes,
value where consumers are getting exactly what they want,
that's right.
talking to an AI assistant. So I
That's right.
I really think I did a part of this halftime report. I did a podcast with Justin Tucker, the chief strategy officer for WFG, and he had done a post that said all that's going to matter in the future is AI and your personal brand. Like
Yep.
that was it. And I started thinking about like when I first saw it, I'm like, it's pretty provocative and a little bit like you're exaggerating to make a point. And then I started thinking about these what you're thinking about. And really, like if you're a local referral-based professional, you're Dave Savage in Newport Beach, and you can scale with an AI bot.
Yes.
All that matters is your AI and your personal brand.
Yeah. I love how you said that, Dave, because I think it's one of those things that, I mean, what's the average age of a loan officer now? Is it still, I surpassed it a while back, but is it still 50, 55, 56?
What's that?
Average age of a loan officer still
Oh,
around that?
yeah, I don't know. I think it's going down because I think we're getting new blood and
Is it?
people
Okay.
are starting
Like I
to
said,
retire.
I
But
knew,
I
I knew
think
I
it
was
is
past it.
officially 54, but I think it's getting into the 40s personally.
Okay, okay, but still, I mean, these are big changes, and I think it would be easy, especially, for folks that have been in the industry a long time to resist it and say, I'm always gonna, I'll deliver just myself. I'm gonna do everything. I'm not getting into that AI thing. But I think what you just said is so powerful, Dave, because it's talking about how do you harness it, how do you use it, and then make yourself scalable. You use that word, and I think that's a brilliant way to say it. And I think it is a challenge. So if you're listening as a loan officer, really thinking about how can you lean into it? Where are the places that you can find those opportunities? And I think as a leader, it's really thinking about, how do you start to look at it? I think there's been a lot of shiny objects on AI. There's been a lot of things called AI that are not exactly AI, that are maybe just workflow automations and things like that. But and I've got a couple of very specific suggestions that I'll give to loan officers as well as to leaders as they think about this topic, and particularly as it gets better and better and better and better. But it's not just on the production side. I think there's been more commonly we've seen these on the ops side, underwriting. I remember somebody told me that they had this AI underwriter. And I said, well, are your underwriters using it? And he said, yeah, but all they're doing is trying to prove it wrong. He said they spend all day trying to use it to be like, ha, I caught it, it's off by whatever. And so But I think it is a time, my number one suggestion, whether you're a loan officer or if you're listening to this as a leader, is find the right places and lean into it. Do not run away from this because it is not going away. And you can either make the decision, Dave, like you just said a minute ago, of how do you use this to make yourself scalable and supercharge your business into the future. And frankly, make your life easier. I mean, I will tell you as a loan officer, about the 10,000th time I had explained APR, I was like, Lord help me. I would be very happy to have somebody else explain this because there's more important things that we could be talking to. I would say a second piece of it, along with the technology, and especially, spending time both at Stratmore and Ingenious, you got to know your data in order to really utilize technology, really utilize the AI that's out there to help. It's all about tying it together with your data and making sure, for example, if you're doing something as a loan officer and you do have some AI support, if you're out there doing something, you got to fill that into your CRM so that, everything is staying tied together. That's going to be one of the challenges out there as we look as loan officers or leaders to utilize AI to supercharge our results.
Yeah. Yeah. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah,
Data, like I think to win in the future, you have to have the data, and then you need to take action on the data
that's right.
in a way that's incredibly valuable to the consumer. So a phrase that we use a lot is coaching at scale.
Yep.
Like, hey, you can win on price, you can win on convenience and speed, but let's face it, most local referral-based loan officers, they're not going to have the lowest price compared to the
Right.
servicers in the centralized national platforms. They're probably not going to have the same speed. So they need to win at coaching. They need to have the best
Yeah,
advice.
that's
And
right.
and so if you're use AI to leverage all your data, your strategy should be to be a coach and advisor to the consumer beyond
That's
the
right.
transaction. By the way, let AI answer how to describe APR.
Yes.
But your job is to find out what that consumer's assumptions are, things that neither one of our platforms know what John Smith in Huntington Beach think rates are going to do or what they think values are going to do.
Right.
And so the more you can, connect personally with data that is not publicly available and then use publicly available data to coach at scale. What are your thoughts
That's
on
right.
just coaching at scale?
Yeah, I mean, Dave, it's interesting as I was thinking about this because one of the things, powered by data, one of the things Mortgage Coach did always did so well is and it reminds me of like an early precursor almost of I won't go so far as AI, but I remember thinking like this technology makes it look like I stayed up all night last night trying to come up with all these different options and all these different ways you could look at your financing. And it was like a life hack where I was like, I can look like a superstar because I've got Mortgage Coach and it looks like I spent all this time. However, now we can actually have an important conversation about the most important things. You and I have talked, Dave, about like it's not a transaction, it's a family, right? It's like
Right.
people talk about their units, and you've said that many times. It's like, let's talk about how many families are we serving, not how many transactions are we doing. These are real people doing real things. And as much as we'll utilize all the technology that we can, coaching at scale, I love that term, because it's taking the data, applying technology and AI to it, and going out and being able to serve more customers, frankly, in a way that I think there are loan officers that are getting left behind that aren't going to be able to operate at that level, right? And they will if you again lean into it and take advantage of these things that are out there.
Yeah, no doubt. So I know you are now Ingenious and Stratmore.
Yeah,
If any executive is listening to this conversation, for all the thousands that will, what's the best way to get a hold of you nowadays? And what are
yeah.
you excited about in what you're doing right now?
Yeah, you know what? I'm excited about all of it because so much of it really goes hand in hand. I mean, I have really enjoyed being doing the consulting with Stratmore because I have the opportunity to see and observe so many things that are going on out there. And certainly, like I said, I'm enjoying kind of a new project working with Ingenious, who have been longtime friends. But what I would say is, easiest way to get a hold of me is probably via LinkedIn. Send me a message on LinkedIn. I'm, out there on there all the time. But excited about the opportunities that lie ahead. And frankly, I didn't mention any product names today, but I've got some really good recommendations and certainly would love to be happy to share with you some of the things that I've seen out there, who I'm pretty impressed by. Certainly love to share with you more about the supercharged data that we've got that helps, frankly, loan officers and recruiters and fair lending and executives. Love to talk to you about any of those things. So feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, or you can always hit me at sue@suewoodard.com.
Well, Sue Woodard, you're always a gift. She's super valuable and funny on LinkedIn. So she is absolutely one of the how do I put it, must follow, whether you're a loan officer,
Um,
an executive, you've got to follow Sue Woodard. She does a great job of just letting you know what's happening in the market and always putting a positive light on everything. Well,
Thanks, Dave. I'm just trying to keep up with you. You're the best out there. Garth and I have always said that. Garth at Stratmore, we've always said nobody does content and brings these communities together. It's like Dave Savage, and I'm thankful to be a part of it. So thank
well,
you.
hey, we're on a mission to make mortgages more valuable to consumers, help them achieve financial freedom, and then really appreciate you doing this. Kristen and I are writing this together. So First Home IQ is also something we're very passionate
Yes,
about. Thank you for always creating awareness around everything that we do here.
you bet it. Love you both, and good chatting with you today.
All right. Take care, everybody. There will
See
be
ya.
a link to that report down below. So the report is actually coming out. The day we're recording this is June 23rd. It's coming out really soon. This video might be out. Well, we'll time this video to go out at the same time the report does. So check out the link down below. Follow savageinsiders.com. That's where I've always got a link at the very top, what I'm doing next. So take care, everybody. Thank you, Sue.
Bye.